Weather for Weather Geeks time here on this Tuesday evening. Welcome back, everyone. It's the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast. We're going to take a long look at tonight's weather. For some of my thoughts on the perception that the forecast wasn't so good over the last couple of days, I'll refer you back to my Facebook Live from this morning, some of my other posts as well. A lot of comments out there, of course, over the last 24 hours. As I mentioned this morning, and I won't get too down in the weeds on this again. I'm the first one to criticize my forecast or our forecast when it goes awry. I have no trouble saying, "Hey, this was a lousy forecast." This situation, though, not saying that because the snow is not done accumulating for some of us, and some people just had the wrong information. Were making comments and saying that the forecast was bad based on bad information. They were looking at other forecasts and they were perhaps looking at all the hype that the storm was getting for the Northeast and thinking it was going to be that bad here. And we just never really said, hey, we're going to get a foot of snow Monday night into Tuesday morning. But that's the perception a lot of people had. Some of it, certainly we could have done better. Some of it was out of our hands, I think, a little bit when it comes to what people decide to listen to and what they want to hear. So anyway, I won't get on my soapbox too much more about that. Thanks for everyone who said really nice things on Facebook today. I really appreciate everyone kind of lifting my spirits a little bit, because I feel like I've been in a little bit of a battle over the last 24 hours. All right, at the airport since midnight, 4 inches worth of snow. So at least at the airport, our forecast for today verified just fine. Now, of course, your mileage varies. Some places had nothing more than a coating last night and this morning, particularly in the southern and eastern part of our viewing area. So Mercer County, down into Lawrence County, down into Columbiana County. Those are the areas we told you would get the least amount of snow, and indeed that came to fruition. Generally under an inch. Now, it has been snowing just about all day today, but again, as we told you about yesterday and last night and this morning, it's been inconsequential as far as impacts go. The roads have been just fine. Here's a live look at 7:06 this evening in Boardman, showing everything is just damp along 224 Market Street. And, it's March when it's as cold as it was today, and it was cold. Upper teens just about all day, wind chill single digits, but look at the road temperatures. We're talking 30s to around 40 as far as the road sensor temperatures go. Now, these are well-traveled roads. They tend to run a little warmer, of course, than your side streets and your driveway and that sort of thing, but it goes to show you it's March and the sun's influence is still felt, even though we had a thick blanket of clouds today. That solar radiation still gets down to the ground and makes a difference. It's a big difference between the dead of winter and March when it comes to the sun's influence on road conditions during the day when it's snowing. It has to really thump. It has to really snow hard to overcome that strong March sun. I mentioned those temperatures. It's cold out, upper teens, when I recorded this evening at a little after 7 o'clock. All right, the sun getting ready to set on our huge nor'easter. And if you think forecasting for around here is tough, try being a local forecaster in New York City today. They were under a blizzard warning. There were a lot of thoughts that the city, in Manhattan might get a foot and a half of snow. And the rain-snow line wobbled west by 10 miles. And they got sleet, only got 6-7 inches in the city with much lower impacts. And so the blizzard warning had to be downgraded to a winter weather advisory. And so this was going to be a tough forecast along that I-95 corridor. And indeed, a lot of extremely talented weather forecasters, had to, have a little pie and a little humble pie today. But that's going to happen with big northeast snowstorms. There's going to be bust zones somewhere, and it just so happened to be over a very highly populated area this time around. All right, back here at home. This evening, some flurries of little consequence right now. What we're going to be keeping a close eye on over the next several hours is what is going on to our north and west. Let's do an hour loop on this. Obviously, this is lake enhancement, lake effect as well. And what we'll be keeping a real close eye on is a connection up to Lake Huron, the Great Lake north of Lake Erie. Because pretty good fetch coming off of Lake Huron is crossing down over into Lake Erie and picking up more moisture. And the weather across a lot of northern Ohio tonight is going to greatly depend on where this main band goes. There might be one kind of dominant band out there with a lot of less dominant bands mixed in too, but we're going to keep an eye out for perhaps one pretty dominant band, and I want to actually switch sources on you here and go over to the high-resolution NAM model. This is one of the more high-res models we have that goes out. This actually now goes out 60 hours. And what it does overnight is it takes kind of this loosely organized snow shower regime and kind of it evolves into more of a one-band dominated regime. You notice that big, thick blue line coming down from Lake Huron, crossing Lake Erie, and this is valid at 2 o'clock in the morning, showing that band over Lake County, down into Geauga County, and then getting down into our viewing area. Now, the big question is this right? And we just don't know yet. This model, like a lot of high-resolution models, even though they're high-resolution and they do a lot of things well, lake effect is one thing they don't necessarily do all that well. They don't handle it that well. So our weather tonight will depend on if this ends up being right or not. If it's not right, then accumulations in general will be pretty modest, although you still have to watch out for changeable conditions. You still have to watch out for snow showers and localized heavier squalls. But if anyone's going to get a half a foot of snow tonight, it would be under that potential band. For that reason, I have tonight highlighted areas north and west of Youngstown as being at the highest risk of having road impacts tonight. Now, there can be moderate impacts elsewhere, but I think the highest risk is going to be maybe western Trumbull County, western Mahoning County, over especially into Portage County, and up into Geauga County as well. Tomorrow I have our northern viewing area highlighted as having the highest risk of seeing frequent snow showers, particularly in the morning tomorrow, and as a result, the highest risk of some impacts on the roads. And then everyone's going to see the snow shower activity wind down and taper off late tomorrow night, and I'm not expecting any travel issues for Thursday. Whether you get snow or not, it's cold and it's windy. Wind chills this evening in the single digits. Wind chills as you wake up tomorrow morning, probably within a degree or two of zero on either side of zero. Real cold stuff, and not much better tomorrow afternoon. I have a high of 22 in the forecast tomorrow with wind chills like this. Single digits to, at best, around 10. And actually, it's going to stay, kind of nasty into Thursday morning in the wind chill department. Now, it's not going to warm up much late this week, but it will be less harsh. Thursday, we'll see some sun in the afternoon. We'll cloud back up Friday. Warm front heads our way. The air behind this warm front is not as warm as some of our air masses have been lately. And this warm front will probably bring us some afternoon rain showers, but it might start as kind of mixed bag for a time, midday and early afternoon on Friday. Not expecting that to be a big deal. Quick look at the longer range. This is the next 10 days compared to average. I think each and every day is some degree below average until maybe the end of next week. This is a cold pattern, and I think it's a mortal lock now that March will end up being a colder than average month. And you look back, and December was barely colder than average. The last legitimately colder than average month we had was last April. It's been almost a year. And you'll notice last March, what a difference a year makes. Last March was our warmest month last year compared to average. This year, colder than average, and probably the coldest overall month compared to average in 11 months. It's been a long time. So that's the way things look for the rest of March. I've gotten a couple questions about April on social media. Right now, the modeling is showing a warm-up. It's hard to trust it this far out, though. The modeling had March looking warm until we got to the very end of February and the first few days of March, and then all of a sudden the models got a clue as to the pattern and decided it would be colder, which ended up being the right idea. So we'll see what April brings. We'll have a much better idea coming up in about 10 days to 2 weeks. Thanks for watching tonight's weather for Weather Geeks. Look for more updates from me on social media as we keep a close eye on these lake